Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of All Caps. I'm Isaac Anderson, half of the hosts here. I'm the author of A Song of Bones in the Garden Maze. I'm joined by Tim McKay, my co-host, who's the author of The Fall of Selvandrea and the newly released Skyfold. And our very special guest today is Steve Johnson, the author of When Time Speaks. And you did something really cool. You ran like a Kickstarter to fund the first printing. Is that right?
That is correct. Yep. To get the first batch of stuff off the ground. So, yep.
That's really cool because
Yeah.
that's something that I would like to do in the future. So what drew you to that specifically, the Kickstarter world?
The Kickstarter, I signed with a small press, ASAP Imagination. Any One World is the arm of ASAP Imagination that I'm connected to.
Okay.
And so it's a hybrid indie press, and part of what we're trying to do is in that kind of a setting is to do the cost sharing and try to build this little project as we go forward. And
Okay.
so the Kickstarter is a good way to kind of do some publicity up front, but also to raise a little money to offset the initial cost of the first printing, which is just going to be massive. Of course, you know how that goes.
Sure.
Humongous.
Humongous.
I mean,
Tins
you say
of
that, but you've
books.
done pretty darn well with this Kickstarter, especially for someone doing it like first time. Very cool to see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. I've learned a ton. I'll do some things differently next time, but yeah, anytime you can actually fund a Kickstarter without like funding it 90% of it yourself, then that's a good day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm very grateful for the people who jumped in to help do that. So
Before we go further, we've got Ro Bushy in the chat here. There's someone to I don't know if you've seen any episodes of Bald and Balding before, but there's another great chat to hop on. I'm sure they would love to have you. Pressure's on.
sounds
Ro.
good. Sounds good.
Yeah. I'm reading through an arc of Rose right now, and it's a lot of fun. So
Nice.
yeah, very good author, good editor, and great host. So someone worth talking to.
Taking notes. I'll have to go back and watch the replay and take notes.
Yeah. But yeah, so thanks, Ro, for showing up, and everyone else in the chat, feel free to say hi. And yeah, but yeah, anyways, like as you can tell, we're both, I think, because we both started just through our stuff out there, started building slow on social media. Kickstarters is something we've talked about separately a lot, and I edited for an author recently who did a very successful Kickstarter. It's, to me, that still feels like a very far off, almost dream. That's the goal, the end point, and you just started. So very, very cool to see.
Dove in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a lot of support too from people that had done it before and had some good ideas.
Were those other, like, people from Anyone or ASAP, or was that just
that were connected to Anyone in ASAP? Some people that I knew, but some of the Kickstarters are just funded at crazy levels. So you start looking at what they're doing, and kind of, I tend to geek out on those kind of things. So found myself digging through, okay, what are they doing for rewards? How are they, setting everything up, and what's it look like? And mine's pretty straightforward this time. I had all kinds of big ideas ahead of extra things that I was going to do, and add-ons for the rewards. And I ended up keeping this one pretty simple, but the next one I'll definitely trick out a little more to see what we can do to increase the backer support. And for a debut author, it's tough too, because it's not like I have this huge, massive following of people who've read my stuff before, because there's not anything to read before.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to, jump in somewhere and start. So that was some of the rationale behind it.
So this is your first book?
This is my first book that's being released. Yeah, second one I've written, first one that's coming out. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
So do you have a chest full of old manuscripts that you can go through later, or?
Well, no. Lots of ideas. I wrote one initially that was going to be the first of a trilogy, and I queried to the traditional route back when I finished it. I started writing in 2018, so I finished the one, and I was still learning about the process of publishing. Traditional publishing is so weird; it's changed so much, over the past decade, even.
Yeah.
But I picked a handful, small, maybe double handful of agents that I thought would be a good fit. And and queried them and didn't get anybody to bite on it. And so now I would do it totally different. Now, if I were going that route, I would query a whole lot more people. But at that point, I thought, okay, what do I need to do to change? Because clearly those 8 agents didn't want it. So nobody wants my book, right? So I just had no clue what I was doing in that whole route.
The only 8 people in the world said no.
Everybody said 8 no's. I'm like, I can't go on. But one agent did write back and say, I really liked your writing style. I'm intrigued by what you're doing. If you have something different, send it to me. So I started asking around to try to figure out what I could do that would give me a second option. And rather than dump out of this world I'd created, I decided to pick a character and do a backstory. So I picked one character that immediately came to mind with Ayala, who's the main character of this book that I wrote, and decided I'd go back and fill out her backstory.
So these 2 worlds are connected.
They are connected.
Okay.
The original book will fit in as number 3 in the timeline. So,
oh, cool.
When Time Speaks will be the first one, and then there will be a second part that'll be titled When Chaos Breaks. Nice. And then the next one after that will start the trilogy. The third one will be quicker because I'll be able to take it, rework it, and make sure it all seamlessly fits into that third spot. But it will give me a little bit of a boost there once I get number 2 done.
Fair. Yeah, let's bring
assuming I get number 2 done.
Bring this up for a second here. Love the cover.
Oh, good. Thanks.
I want to say it was one of the ladies from Anyone, right? Who did that with you?
A Connection. Yep, the Connection through Anyone. Camila Perez. Yep, did that. Okay. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
So she was really good to work for and work with, and really responsive. Lori Cunningham is the lead for Anyone World. She's one of the owners of that of the company, and so she's been great to work with as well. Kind of project manage things for me and help with the connections to editors and artists and things like that. So yeah, they've been really great to work with all the way around.
Very cool.
Yeah, so where did this book come from?
The original story, the world, kind of came from, I mean, how far you want to go back? I'll keep it short. Very beginning. Early 2000s, I went to an artist conference in Budapest, and my daughter went with me, and it was set in a castle there in Budapest.
Oh, cool.
And so we had a week together. It was great fun. Decided to do a castle tour at one point. And that particular castle, the walls were kind of some up and some broken down. The main part of the castle was intact, and a lot of the conference was right in some of the refurbished, restored rooms in the castle. So just a really cool, inspiring setting for artists to hang out for a week.
Okay.
Yeah. We decided to take the castle tour one day, and between 2 of the rooms that were refurbished, you had to walk through this old storage room, and it was dark and damp, and it wasn't really big. But as we stepped in, leaning up against the wall, staring at us, was this oval cement sculpture of this boy with his hands outstretched, and his hands were broken off. And it was just cement, and it was shadowy, and it was dark. And so you walk into this room and your eyes adjust, and all of a sudden here's this shocking kind of thing staring at you from the wall. And my daughter was 12 at the time, and I could tell she was just totally creeped out. I mean, it was she jumped a foot, and we kept on the little part of the tour. And so I was trying to just diffuse the tension because she kept talking about it, and I just started telling this story about this boy who saved the castle from the wizard, and the villagers were so grateful that they did this statue after him. And while he fought the wizard, he lost his hands in the battle, and so they did this sculpture of the boy with no hands, just trying to ease the tension of the moment. And she jumped in, and so this became this little story as we were on the tour. And we walked out the front door, and in the courtyard of the castle was this huge tower, clock tower. And it had 4 clock faces, but none of the faces had any hands either. And so we were like, oh, story must be true. Boy with no hands, clock with no hands. And so she told her brother, and they started bugging me to write the story of the boy with no hands. So that was kind of the germ. I pushed them off because I write for a living, short form stuff all the time, and the idea of doing a novel was, I just had no patience, I didn't think, for writing a novel. So I just kept saying, yeah, sure, someday I'll write the story. So that was kind of the
Okay.
germ of the story, where it came from.
Very cool.
So about 10 years later, my daughter had gone through a rough patch, and I was trying to help her kind of reignite her writing, love for writing. And so we jumped into a novel writing group, and I asked her if she's interested, and she said, yeah, I'd love to. I said, you write something, I'll write something, just thinking I would do something, for a few weeks just to kind of get through the month. And she said, no, 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 I know exactly what you're going to write. So she snuck in there this novel. And so once I started, it was great fun. I just decided I was missing something, because just the
Wow.
whole idea of building a world, was just incredible. So
Have you ever
yeah,
read The Princess
she's to
Bride,
blame.
like the book?
The book, The Princess? No, I have not.
You should, because
Mhm.
your story behind the story reminds me a lot of the story behind the story in The Princess Bride.
Okay,
Because
I'll
that
definitely
book
do that.
opens with just the author talking about this story he heard his dad told him, his grandfather told him, and it goes on and on
Okay.
about that. You get all that background stuff. So all that
Oh,
background
good.
stuff you shared reminded me a lot
Hmm.
of the Princess Bride stuff. So I
Okay.
highly
Well, good
recommend
read.
you give that a
I'll do it.
look.
I will do it. Sounds good.
Because they kind of open with that in the movie, right? Like not obviously not as
Yeah, a little
elaborate.
bit.
The movie is magic.
Mhm.
The book is like the source of all magic.
Okay,
The
that's
book
that's
is
saying something because I love
the
that movie.
the book.
Mhm.
If you've never read it, it's a masterpiece.
Mm,
If you tell stories, especially fantasy, you
mm.
have to read The Princess Bride. You have
Okay.
to.
Definitely on the TBR. There we go. We
Yeah,
got her as my
exactly. Add it to it. Yep. We have our
Yeah.
marching orders. Yep.
Before we go any
Absolutely.
further, we have to say, so for anyone watching, especially on X, all the Steve, I promise everyone here, this is not that Steve. I'm saying this
Not
now. I'm making,
that
we
Steve.
joked before, we need to make t-shirts. But yeah, I don't know. The irony is every Steve I actually know is either my friend or just someone I like. My uncle's name is Steve. He's one of the best human beings on the planet. Like,
I have an Uncle Steve too.
hey, look
Yeah.
at that.
I think
Yeah,
everybody has an Uncle Steve somewhere in the
I think
closet.
I
that's
do
it.
not.
Oh,
I do not.
you
But
gotta
you
let
know
him
a
out
lot
of
of
the
other
closet.
Steve Johnsons,
Ironic as
right?
that is, I don't know any other Steves in my
Well,
family. So
you're an uncle, aren't you?
I am actually. Yes,
You're the
that's
Uncle
true.
Steve.
I am the Uncle Steve. Kind of do both things.
Full
I am the
circle.
Steve and the Uncle Steve. Yep.
That's so good. That's so
A
good.
person named Steve can't have an Uncle Steve because he is the Uncle Steve.
If you don't know the Steve in the room, it's probably you. No.
Probably. It's like I'm my own grandpa kind of thing. Yeah.
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 That's kind of the same thing.
Oh, so good. Yeah. I think you are. We'll have to look back through this is episode 26, which we were saying before. As far as I know, I believe you are the first Steve to be on. So it makes it
I
Okay.
extra
don't think
special.
that's true. I'm gonna go through this a little
That's an
later.
Maybe you're wrong.
honor.
Maybe
I like the brother Steve idea there in chat. I like that.
that works. Yeah.
Brother
Yeah,
Steve
this
and
is
Ted.
good.
Yeah. I may
That
have
is
to adopt that.
Yeah, howdy, Luke.
Good.
Yeah. Okay, good to
Just
know.
in
There are no
time.
Steves. You're the first Steve we've interviewed.
All right.
So, yeah,
Claim
there you
it.
go. Badge of
Claim
honor
it.
right there.
I'm
See,
not
but
that
now I
Steve.
can't
I'm the
like.
first Steve. Yep.
The irony is, I have to be so careful when I make my Steve posts because every once in a while, I've gotten a few messages from someone saying like, "Did I say something wrong? Like, it's not you, man. It's not you. I
What did I
promise."
do? How did I hurt you?
So good. Again, I have no idea how. I shouldn't say this because at first when people would ask me like so who is Steve? Who is this guy who says all these dumb things? My go-to answer every time was just some guy. That's all I would
That's
type.
some guy.
Just some guy.
In Oklahoma, I did a lot of video work for people. Like I made little commercials, things like that for people. The soap company wanted us to make skits with their employees to put on their YouTube channel. And we wanted an oddball character, but we didn't want to make fun of the employees. So my brother played one of the employees, and he was just insufferable and stupid and very funny to watch. But everyone they showed the videos to, they went to shows and stuff. They thought he was a real employee.
Oh no.
Like, is he really like that? What's he like? What's it like working with that guy? Like, oh, he's not real. He's a fake person.
Now, usually I use real quotes, or slightly altered, but still keeping the spirit of what someone has said. But it's never their name is never Steve. I would probably change it to something else if it was. That's my rule. Yeah, it's
That's
never
your
meant to
rule.
single
So
anyone
if you
out.
ever change the name in one of
Fair
these
game.
posts, you know it's coming
We
from
know it's
Steve.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Oh man. But yeah,
Which
so
means I can never change my handle. I have to leave it Steve just because now. So
Steve J Media. Yep. So I wanted to ask, like, so for well, just tell us some of the lessons you learned. You hinted at that for from this time around doing a Kickstarter. What are the things you would tweak, and what are maybe some of those extra levels you would add next time, given the chance?
um, some of the things I've seen that people that have really made Kickstarters stand out have just been the volume of things that they offer, and it doesn't have to be elaborate things. Um, but Steve isn't real. I'm sorry.
This is really funny.
Breaking the barrier here.
Yeah, this
I'm
is like
so sorry, Lou.
a crappy Santa.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I should have put a warning,
A warning,
content warning on this
trigger
episode.
warning. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It was going to happen. It had to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, volume of things I think is important, and it doesn't have to be, really elaborate things. Lori Calcaterra, I don't know if you know her or not, she's authors a comic series, Path of the Pale Rider,
Mm.
which really
She did an
cool.
interview with you, right?
She
For
did,
anyone?
yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep,
Yeah.
for anyone, yep.
Yeah.
Back on the Anyone Showcase when that was Anyone
Mhm.
World Showcase.
Very fun.
Yeah, and she does great stuff. Her Kickstarters are amazing, and she just has all the things. Um, she has themed hot sauce, related to
Oh
her
wow.
character, and she had there's all kinds of stuff. She just goes all out, and her Kickstarters are amazing.
Wow.
She also does these custom book covers, and so she agreed to do that for me too. So one of the things that people can get on the Kickstarter is a custom cover with the book. And so she'll rip off the old cover and she puts a nice cover on with decorations and a custom bookmark. It's going to be very cool, and you're going to have to choose if you pick one between whether you want the time magic version or the chaos magic version, and they're going to be a little different. So that's been a fun addition, but that's helped
cool,
kind of
yeah.
boost the interest as well. So yeah, anything that you can do to tie into your book. From custom bookmarks and character art and things like that you can create something that's interesting to people to just kind of see who you can catch as you're marketing. That's
Yeah.
super helpful.
Yeah.
And all those things are things I had on my list that I wanted to do and did not. But one interesting
now
thing
you
that
have
I
a
was going
book
to
you can offer in addition to the next book.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, second time around, I have my to-do list already for the next time around, because some of the things are going to be the same regardless.
Mhm.
Bookmarks or characters are going to carry through the second book, and uh, various iterations of uh, magical items and things like that.
Sure. You I think see we were poking around at a whole bunch of Kickstarters when we were talking last week. And so I don't think this was yours, but correct me if I'm wrong. But I think we saw one right after where they had a character naming opportunity. I remember that was a funny. I've seen a few do that. I'm like, okay, that's
Yep.
fun. That's fun. Or even like mini story ideas to throw in or things like that. Kind of creative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. You get a premium spot in the book where a
Yeah.
character gets named after you or created around you or something. That's pretty cool.
I put all my friends into my books and then I kill them in the next within a page. That's my rule.
Yeah. If I do one of these things, I'm gonna have a limited number of rats that people can name.
Okay.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm worried of the names they'll give them. Because if
Yeah.
they pay to name the rat, I gotta name the rat whatever they say.
Yeah, it's risky. It's risky.
Yeah.
I'll also have claws in there.
Yeah, you'll have to you have to
Can't start
kind
with
of
letter H.
put some boundaries. Yeah, exactly.
My caveat is because what I have done this. I actually even recently in my current book I'm working on. I forget the context, but I promised one person on X that I would name a character after them, and I kind of just took their name that they had on X and I tweaked it around a little, gave it a fantasy feel that fit my world, and that was it. And they were like, "Oh, that sounds cool." And I think they had a military background too, and I made them an admiral, I think, in my story, and they were like, "Oh, well, thank you for the promotion." It was very entertaining. It was great.
Yeah,
Little nods you can give people. So
yeah.
there's ways around
Or you
that.
could do mini stories for people and use their, let
Mhm.
them interact with the story. Create a
Mm,
little mini story that doesn't have to be long, but maybe they interact with your main character in some
mm,
short chapter that
yeah.
you put on there, and people can pledge a certain amount, and you'll write a little story around them and your main character. I mean, that would be cool.
That's cool. Yeah, that is cool.
On that
They're
note, have
rel-
you done well? You because so you said you have one novel essentially already written, and then this one that you're now putting out.
yeah.
Have you done a lot of like short story writing or other formats? No, maybe not develop, but yeah, things like that.
In the past, I've written a lot of short form stuff. Yeah, I mean,
Mm,
throughout my life, I've always been writing short stories, and um, I've done a lot of public speaking, so I've written in that kind of
fair.
context,
Yeah.
and a lot of school writing, through the years, that kind of thing. So all of it short form, all of it, um, with a purpose in mind.
Well, I think you said in your on your Kickstarter, but you do nonprofit work, right? Or
Yeah,
that's at least some of your yeah.
I do.
So I
Yeah.
mean, I think we were immediately curious, like, oh, I bet that's something like this. You must be pulling in some of that fundraising experience. Or I'm just curious, how much does that influence how you run this Kickstarter?
Um, I would love to say that all of that experience is tied into this Kickstarter, but
Not
you
at
know,
all.
yeah, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
That's funny.
But
Yeah, fair enough.
I do think the awareness in a when you're working in a nonprofit setting, whether it's a church or a some kind of a international. I was in an international organization for a while, and we did some work in Indonesia and other places. But you
Mm,
develop this need to be able to tell what you're doing to people to help them understand,
mm,
your work, so that you can raise money for what you're doing. And I think a lot of authors I hear struggle with trying to sell their work,
yeah.
because it feels like that you're marketing your stuff or your soul or whatever. Uh, so I think when you work with a nonprofit and you have to report on what you're doing and your fundraising is tied to that, it becomes a more natural part to just kind of, share what's happening and get people excited about what you're doing. And you can that translates really well into the artist world, whether it's
Fair.
author or singer or whatever. You're just trying to help people get excited about your work and who you are, and decide to help you keep doing what you're doing. So
I'd say that's a huge
Cool.
advantage. 'Cause most, like you said, most authors I know have absolutely no interest in even learning the skills of marketing.
yeah,
It's just it grates on them, and I think past me got it. Whereas then I worked in marketing for a little bit, and I got into it. I got really fascinated just with how our minds work and how we communicate important messages, for them to actually break through to people. I find it fascinating. So I think that translated for me. I enjoy this stuff. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but uh, I wish I knew how to communicate. I wish I knew how to communicate that message to more authors. Is this stuff can be fun, and it's a skill that you can. It doesn't have to feel slimy. Because if you believe in the message you're giving them, you know,
yeah, that's
it can be
true.
a lot of fun.
Can be. I
Yeah,
only rent my soul out. Better return that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
yeah, that's good.
Good
And this
advice,
is Mike
Mike.
Molman, who's the other half of Bald and Balding. So,
Okay, good,
Mike,
good.
yeah,
Good to see
I
you, Mike.
accidentally drew a picture of you yesterday.
Accidentally.
of Mike,
Accidentally. Say what?
of Mike, or
Of Mike,
of
yeah.
Mike. Okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
was practicing drawing faces and I drew Mike, a perfect Mike Molman. Like, oh, it's Mike.
That's
I
funny.
haven't posted anywhere because I didn't know if I was going to embarrass you or not.
Well, this is the guy who now has his face forever on E.L. Montague's book, right?
This Mike Molman is like the true Mike Molman. He's like happy and smiling.
Very good. Yeah, not villain. Yeah, I
He's
want to talk
that
about people
Mike
being
Mullen.
made into someone else's characters. E.L. Montague turned Mike into a pure villain.
Oh yeah, he turned him to a. Whew, he turned him to a bad man.
Do you always draw your nightmares?
Not usually. Usually, I draw my my anxieties.
So Mike is giving you stress, is what you're saying.
No stress from Mike whatsoever. I was drawing happy things.
Very good guy. Yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
I write my nightmares, or I write and they become my nightmares.
Yeah.
Tim's been writing
Finally,
nightmares
yeah.
recently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious. So my first book was just I labeled it dark fantasy, and it came out I think even darker than I intended. And then I wrote Skyfold more recently, and that was just good fun. It has some heavier parts, but I wrote it as a breather, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then I jumped from that to the darkest thing I've ever written. I mean, I like throwing horror elements in fantasy, so that's why I wrote dark fantasy, because it helps capture the conflict with evil. I really like horror. I think is a really fun way to capture that. But like this is, whoa. So I don't know. I mean, now I'm curious how much, like on a scale of brightness, from very joyful and hopeful and positive, good, happy, like where would you put your story? Yeah.
It's probably somewhere in the lower middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's your audience, do you think? Is this like a book for younger readers or for adults? Like where are you hanging out?
I would say older young adult to adult. I mean, we're marketing it as adult, but it definitely would fit in the young adult category as well. So we're trying to a couple of different categories there. But the characters are. I started out writing in the young adult area, but then the first draft had these really dark themes. I mean, it was really about revenge and retribution, and I'm going, okay, this is probably not a middle grade book, right? I mean, it's a little dark for that.
Yeah.
So I switched up and kind of added in some more, kind of lightened it up a tiny bit, and then I aged them up, and then the characters became a little more extreme, and so tied into each other and into the situations they were pulled into. I'm trying not to do spoilers. This is always hard to talk without going too far into a spoiler land.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say it's probably in the middle. So it's definitely not happiness and light. It's a pretty tight timeline where this whole story happens. So it's not like it's years long or an epic story. It happens in a pretty short period of time. But there are elements of loss, and there are elements of decisions to follow darkness and choose darkness, and what happens when our choices kind of follow us in places we don't want to go. What happens when you make decisions and things happen that are the opposite of what you're trying to make happen. Yeah. So from that sense, it's definitely not all happiness and light, but
fair. Did you find it hard to not retcon? That's too strong a word, but because I had a very similar experience, funny enough, where I wrote the opening sequence of my book, not the horror one. The horror one, there's some comic relief in there, but it flowed seamlessly into it. But my first book, very dark opening sequence, and I worked some of the lighter stuff into it after the fact, and I kind of worried about it, had some fun, and then some of those elements became key moments. In fact, some of those elements are now what I have readers who are like, oh, those guys again, yes, like or her again. Actually, everyone's favorite character was kind of very early in the process, introduced to the story, but as that levity, and then now she has her own darkness too, same as you, where as you blend them into the story, it takes on a life of its own. But did you find that was it difficult, or did it just kind of happen?
Yeah, I think the first draft, I mentioned that I wrote this to try to kick back to that agent who had said, hey, if you got something else, send it to me. So the first draft was really a one character view, race to the finish kind of action thing. and dark at the same time. And I brushed it up, polished it, sent it back to the agent, whatever, 6 months later. I wrote that draft really quickly, and got an immediate auto rejection. It was like not even it was like, oh well, thanks. Hey, remember what you said? And it's like, oh no, thanks. So then I pulled it back and said, is this really what I want to distribute? And decided that I really enjoy reading multi-point of view stories. I've always enjoyed that. And so that's where I went back and reworked it and I added 3. My editor encouraged me to take a third point of view out, which was really a smart move. So that I just have the 2 protagonists, antagonists back and forth views in the story. The second one will have some added points of view as other characters kind of get rolling. But yeah, this one is just the 2.
But that's fun right there, because I feel like you don't see, well, you see some. My go-to example, and it made me nervous, I think, going in, writing from an antagonist POV. I feel like I don't see a lot of that. So I see it in Grimdark, where that is the main POV. That's the antagonist, the protagonist is the antagonist, But like Wheel of Time I read, and I remember later in the later books, he started using a lot more little quick, the introduction of the book, and then sometimes later in the book you would get a chapter here and there from the antagonist POV, and it's very hard to do well. It's probably the only time where I ever thought, Robert Jordan, you probably didn't need to do that. And then more recently, I read some other books that did it extremely well, and so it's fascinating to me. Is that trick? Like how? Again, no spoilers. I don't want to put you in a box here where you're trapped giving spoilers. But yeah, like tell us about handling that. How do you write an effective antagonist? What went into that for you?
I think part of the background of this book, or the characters in the book, connect with magic, time magic, and chaos magic in a different way than most people would expect. So time, magic, and chaos are really entities that don't really care what happens in the world. They just want to survive. So they'd just be happy to stay out of, any interaction with humans and just do their own thing. You only see them emerge if, something's catastrophic going to happen to the world, which they rely on to exist. So you don't really see them. They're kind of in the background throughout the story, but the characters interact with time magic and chaotic magic depending on what they choose to engage in. So it's almost like you have 2 layers going on. Time and chaos are their own battle. There's their own battle going on for control of the world, but they have to live in balance, a certain level of balance as well. So you can have a time where chaos is dominant or time is dominant, and then all of the people of the world who can engage with magic, on one side or the other, have their own conflicts going on. So in this case, the protagonist happens to be a follower of time magic and dabbles in chaos. The antagonist starts out as a follower of both and chooses dark magic to try to accomplish his goals, and they both get drawn more deeply into those larger magic, the magics that are in conflict with each other. So they start out pretty reasonable, but then as it darkens, then you do have the bit of a victim and bit of a it's their own fault, but they're also being victimized in some way. So
we're kind of seeing we're kind of seeing a bit of an origin in there too. Not just oh, they're already the antagonist. Okay, that's fun.
Right. Yeah. Not expecting to be the antagonist, but definitely goes there, not entirely of his own accord. So
even better. Yeah.
The tragic antagonist. You say no.
Why did you do that?
So. I like that in a story. I like when I really like, I like the tragic falls where I'm invested in the character and then you see them make those decisions and the consequences. Yeah.
And I've always read stories like that. I mean, Stephen Donaldson, I don't know if you've read any of his stuff. from he's been writing or wrote for a long time ago. I've read a bunch of his stuff, but man rides through, and there's just a bunch of stories where you've got somebody who's trying to do the right thing and all of a sudden messes up and they're just pulled into the mess, and fighting their way out. And sometimes that's the hero that's trying to fight their way back out. And it's also fun when that's the villain and they're trying to decide if they want to get out or they can't get out and they just get sucked on in.
Yeah.
So.
My rule for picking POV, especially in my Song of Bones story, is where is the conflict? Sometimes it is with the main hero characters, but then sometimes the antagonists have their own little problems they're dealing with, and they're fun to follow around. So I like to see, where the trouble is. I like to zoom in on that and see what they do, because usually they make the wrong decision. Because if they made the right decision, the book could be over.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. It's complicated. They make complicated decisions.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's fun. I just enjoy the back and forth of the character and watching them kind of come to life as you write. That kind of feeling of, oh, I didn't expect them to go there. Maybe they'll go here. Lord Fowlsbane. Yeah, that was a great one.
Lets you really flesh out a story too. I'm limiting myself this time. My first book had tons of POVs, and now I'm writing one with just one. And Skyfold had two, and most of it was from one. But this time I'm really restricting myself, and there's different challenges that come with both extremes. And I do find it refreshing to stick to one this time, but I wouldn't want to go more than 3, max 4, and that would be like epic fantasy context. For the stories I'm telling now, I'm writing shorter books these days than my previous epics. Yeah. So it really depends on context too, and length. How long is how long is yours right now? I think you said already, but
99,300 words. So squeezed in under the 100,000.
Just under the 100, yeah. Well, that's definitely Mike Molman approved then, so you're safe.
Yeah.
Less than 500. Less than 500.
It was less than that, quite a bit. More like in the 85 range. And when I did an editorial review, the editor that I used made some suggestions that I thought really good, and some things I'd heard from the beta reader. Beta readers, not the reader, but there were many. But they had asked some questions. It'd be nice to know more about this, more about backstory, really, for the characters. So I really backed up the story about a day in their timeline, and realized I could hit a lot of things in that, even just a day earlier, that would help you understand the characters more and move into the conflict a little different. So so that pushed it, an extra 12,000 words or so.
Yeah, there's Mike's approval right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
the right starting point is always the tricky thing. But.
Yeah. Oh man. I was gonna ask. Yeah. Okay. One before I forget. This was one I wanted to ask. And you kind of hinted at it already, just talking about shorter form writing for nonprofit context and just work related. Because I've had this conversation a few times with others, and I still find it tricky to navigate. Do you find? I mean, it sounds like that had an influence on your writing. So I'm curious. Yeah, do you find there's a huge divide between nonfiction and fiction, or are a lot of the skills transferable? Because a lot of people will say not, and I have to admit, I'm probably strongly against. I can understand where they're coming from, but I think there's a lot you can carry over.
I think there's a lot you can carry over. I mean, I would say the thing that's made me, I have improved a ton as a writer editor because of writing the novels that I've written. Just because I've learned to be more careful about what I put where, and just aside from the editing and grammatical side, which is just always a challenge.
Yeah.
But just understanding how to tell a story that moves forward, how to evoke some kind of feeling with the readers you want to do that whether it's fiction or nonfiction.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you're writing, you want to capture the reader's attention and pull them in to do something. Whether it's a marketing ad, you want them to buy something, a widget from somewhere, or whether you want them to support an effort in the Congo with a supporting. I saw a cool Kickstarter that's going on related to a production of that they're doing in the Amazon, and it's almost no words, if any words, but it's about sound and rhythm and healing through what you hear in the jungle, and
I thought you were going to say we're going to
they've
chop
done
it
a
down.
ton of work. Chop it down.
Support the kick. We're going to chop down that big old forest.
Chop it down. But it's following the indigenous people of those areas and the sounds of the Amazon, and it's just very cool. And they were kind of halfway to their goal, and they decided to launch this big old Kickstarter to try to finish it off.
That is cool.
But yeah, I mean, in whatever you're trying to communicate, the point is you want to communicate and draw people in, and the more you can do that with interest, then you're that far ahead.
If you can write about elevators and have that magical and wonderful, then of course you can take that to novels too.
Exactly. Or maybe it's historical fiction, or maybe it's maybe it's whatever. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Understanding story and structure and how to pull in a reader into what you're trying to accomplish in the story you're trying to share, whatever it is, is that's beneficial regardless. So it's been a great training ground for me and practice ground to try to figure it all out. And you don't always figure it out. Got through all the very end of it, and I'm ticking through the first few pages, and there's this random period dropping. Those kind of things. You're like, what? It's in the middle of the sentence. How did that get there? It wasn't there from the proofreaders.
I swear I'm worse on that front, having spent the last few years now diving into fiction writing than I ever was in academia or marketing or any other context. I've gotten worse, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. I don't know. I think it's the mental muscle that you use when you're writing, for me at least, writing fiction. It doesn't completely turn off that side of my brain, because I will immediately notice something really glaring. But some things, I'll even write words phonetically, like by sound, that I never would have missed. Like, it makes no sense. I'm like, I know that's not how that. What just happened? Get off of my computer screen,
Creative writing.
My gosh, yeah,
it's crazy. That's why you have to have other people have their eyes on your book.
Because you'll look later and you'll see what you want to see, and you skip right over that, and then you look back and someone manages to catch it, and thank goodness.
Exactly.
So after your trilogy is complete, what's next for you?
I'm not sure. This is the duology, then the trilogy on the other end of that. I started one actually that's kind of a origin story to this set of the magic actually emerging in the world. So magic this story is set in a far future Earth. So there is a tipping point where the magics actually emerge. And so I started that and wrote enough to keep the idea structure together, and then parked it. So I'll come back and do that. I just have a lot to play around with in this world. And so I'll probably just keep writing in this world for a while. I've had people say, why don't you just dump this and go do something else? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm kind of having fun here.
Yeah.
If anybody reads it, that's wonderful, but I'm writing because I enjoy, passionate about the characters, and they're still interesting to me. And there's a lot of itches to scratch, within the world that I'm writing in. So
would you ever,
that said,
would you ever change genres while still writing in the same world?
Yeah, I was going to say, that said, I do have a draft of something totally different that I'm working on as well, that I've also parked. So yeah, it's more of a sci-fi, Ready Player One.
Okay.
Sort of thing. Yeah. That I've started that is totally different. So yeah, I could see myself do that. And it's the way I've read over the
Mm.
years. I mean, loved reading fantasy, but then I jump over and read crime
Yep.
novels,
Yeah.
Patricia Cornwell stuff. I just, or I jump over John Grisham, or I just hop. I do sci-fi and I do fantasy. I'm a big Star Trek, Star Wars nerd, and so I just kind of eclectic in what I like. So yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to me at all um, to jump in and start writing something else just because the idea hits me. But
Yeah, like I've blended elements of a few genres that I've read from in like my main book, The Fall of Sylvandria, but then writing Skyfold is still fantasy, but very big shift genre-wise. I think it's safe to say, and it was so refreshing. And then now I'm writing horror, and the horror one is set in the same world as The Fall of Sylvandria, and part of me is like, okay, they are very much connected stories, but I'm doing it in such a way that I almost don't want to tell people that when the time comes, because I'm like, you'll read, if someone who reads this and really enjoys it, there's a chance they'll read The Fall of Sylvandria and be like, oh, I was expecting more of that stuff, and now I'm getting a bit of a, like, there's enough of a disconnect, but it's set in the same world, and I think some people will enjoy both, but also different groups will enjoy one and not the other.
yeah, and you do all that work to develop your world and all the backstory and all the structure. So
Yeah,
why
why not
not?
have some more fun with it than
Let's
just
go
one
to that.
story? Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
But,
yeah, exactly. And Easter eggs? Are you a big
oh yeah,
Easter egg guy? You
I
drop in
love
Easter
Easter
eggs?
eggs.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Right,
There are
so
Easter eggs that I've set up for things 10 years from now in my stories.
yeah.
Some that only I know are
Yeah.
there. A Star Trek reference from episode whatever,
Mm.
just a little tiny bit in there that if you know,
Yeah.
but somebody somewhere may read it and say, "Wait a minute, that's I know."
I have one that I think I've made in every single book so far. The one I'm writing right now, Skyfold and The Fall of Sylvandria. That's an homage to pretty much, I think, my all-time favorite actor, who has since passed away. It's just a little homage to something he used to slip into most of his later movies. And
Mickey
most people,
Rooney?
no one will catch it, which is fine by me, but I have it in there, my little thing. Yeah.
It's there. I had two little dogs that always we had two. They were Bichons, and they wrote with me a ton. Would snuggle up
Mm.
next to me, writing my first book a lot, and lost them both during the
Oh no.
pandemic within a few months of each other, and which was really tough. And when the first one, we had to put the first one down. I actually went into my book and I wrote her in as a
Mm.
character, one of the creatures in the book, and I twisted up and so yeah, that's author writer's
Yep.
license, right? You can things that you like, all those little extra things that just doesn't matter if anybody else knows or not, but you can read back through it later and just
Yep.
tag a little memory for yourself and just adds to the joy of the experience. Doesn't all have to be doom and
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
gloom.
Yeah. You need a little bit of charm in there, too.
That's right. That's right.
No, it's too early to be asking you this, because I mean, well,
When's the movie?
there you go. I was gonna say,
Wow, that would be
so
fun.
the Kickstarter is still out. The Kickstarter ends the end of August, right? Yeah,
A couple more days. Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's right at the
August
end.
31st. That's very soon. That's awesome. Yeah. So
Yeah.
then, I mean, I was gonna ask, what's the timeline then for down the road when it'll officially come out? Um,
Yeah, well, right after that, hopefully in September, the ebook will be
mhm.
available. Amazon's queued up, so we'll get the copies running to the printer pretty straightforward. So September is probably too soon, but definitely
Okay.
October. We'll set a release date and I'll post it online. But so yeah, it's coming.
Very fast. Yeah.
It's coming soon. Definitely going to happen, and that's exciting. So.
So
Um,
my non
so yeah,
sequitur question off of all, well, I was going to say, so it's too soon to ask you this because the book's not even out yet, but I think I can fairly ask this about the first book that you had already written well
mhm.
before this. How often,
Yep.
yeah, I'll ask it this way. How often do you go back and read it and just enjoy it? Is that something you can do? Because I know some authors, they'll write it, and as far as they can help it, never look at it again, even if it's in the series they're writing. I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think because Ayala shows up in that book um, pretty prominently, I haven't gone back and read it front to back probably in the last year and a half. But I did go back at one point and tweak some things at the beginning to try to see how it might fit in. Kind of, I have the second book outlined, so I know the path and where that one's going to end. And so I've done some work with the linking between the second book that's not written and the third book that's already written. So it'll take a little massaging to kind of make that work, but I'm confident that I can link it in because of the way I've outlined and structured it so far. So I'm hopeful.
Do you feel like you're narrowing?
Go ahead.
Because I'm there's only about a 50% chance I'll do this. I've structured the book I'm writing right now that it works as a sort of prequel to The Fall of Savandria, but it could. It's tight. I could very well. There's enough time that I could write a sequel to what I'm writing right now that would still fit before The Fall of Savandria. And if people like this one, it would be warranted. And I think they will like this. I'm going to have to wrestle with it. And that one would be fun because it would be dragon horror, which this one isn't. But I feel like that could be
people
fun.
like dragons. I think you should err on the side of dragons.
Like that's the thing is it's right in front of me. I really could do it, and I'm tempted to. It really. This character's story deserves to be told, but we'll see. So the way to do it. I feel I don't want to box myself in. We'll see. I think I could do it, but yeah, I'm going to need to reread The Fall of Savandria just to make sure I have that room and I can do it in a way that doesn't, change to. Well, it shouldn't change anything, but you know what I mean. Like it's just, it's tough to navigate. That's a lot of plot work to do.
Yeah, in mine, I don't have a lot of character overlap other than throughout that book. It's pretty much standalone, but she's weaving through, doing her own thing, dealing with her own issues, but weaving through that story that was developed. So,
and at least if you get really attached to something right now in these two books you're writing, worst case scenario, you can always make small tweaks because the third one isn't out yet, right?
Yeah. Sure, exactly. Yeah. I'm hoping to do the second one by the end of next year, Christmas. I might be able to do both of them by then. If I do the second one and the third one doesn't need a lot of tweaking, I could get, pull those out pretty close together.
That's very cool.
But that's pretty ambitious. I do have a full-time job.
So. It's author life. It is very hard to.
If I could just unhook and write,
exactly.
Standard author line, right?
Yeah, every single one of us has that. Well, the dream would be to do this full time, but
the dream
someday.
Someday.
Not getting any younger. Yeah.
That's true. Days are passing. The mountains of things that we're setting aside, the video clip mountains are growing.
I don't want to think about that.
You don't want to think about that. You're the one with the video clip mountains.
It's hours and hours of footage I have to go through.
Hours.
Awesome.
I have a system where I have all the different audio from everybody. So I look at the entire timeline, the whole thing, and I can see if one person's talking for a long time, another person's talking. But if I see all of us talking, that was a hot moment. So I jump into there and I get that footage. But I try to see at least everything to make sure I'm not missing any little nuggets of gold.
Yeah, it sounds like you could do that on a beach somewhere. And
it's too hot.
Little island hut. An air-conditioned island hut.
Yeah, that would be. Maybe that sounds expensive.
That would work.
That sounds a little bit pricey, but that might be too distracting. I do most of my stuff at a coffee shop with just white noise in my ears. That's how I can. Yeah. That's how I get most of my writing done. Yeah. Video stuff, I have to just sit down and force myself, turn everything else off, and just because once I start, I usually can't stop with video editing. But I just need to start and finish everything else I need to do, set aside all the other little personal projects, and just sit down and do it.
But no, whenever I see like those I don't say this in a derogatory sense. It's fine. It's just, it's so not me when I see like tech bros on the beach, saying like, "Oh,
I can't stand the tech bros on the beach." You know how annoying that is? We're
How
on the
dare they?
beach.
How dare they?
I'm like that. I would never be able to be productive. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, that's where I go for an all-inclusive stay with some friends, have some drinks, and have a good time. But I'm not there to work. Yeah,
There you go. You do most of your writing in a room, in a coffee shop.
I do coffee shop too from time to time.
Kind of the same place.
As a break.
Yeah.
Usually, if I'm in a coffee shop, I'll get less of my best writing done, but it's really good, I find, for certain kinds of brainstorming, or even going to like nonfiction but writing focused books, reading those, taking some notes, plotting, outlining, things like that. I'll get creative work like that done there. But yeah, and I'm curious to ask you this. For me, do you listen to music or things like that when you? Because me, I can't. If I'm in a coffee shop, I'll maybe have something in like instrumental to drown out the noise. But if I'm here where I am right now to do my writing, silence. I need maybe the window open and whatever sound is out there is fine. But I don't know.
Yeah, I do have a playlist. I'm pretty environmental when I write, if that makes sense. But if I'm writing a scene and I can go somewhere, to a park or alongside of the water or somewhere that just kind of puts me in the environment more, then I'll do that for a little while. It just helps me kind of feel this, or hear the sounds,
Yeah.
feel the breeze, just what's it really going to be like in the spot. Helps kind of spur the writing. So I do but I have a coffee shop, a couple of them, but one particularly near me that I'd written just a ton over time. So I do that a lot. But yeah, and usually with music, usually there's something in the background. So
I had one
headphones.
What does it for me, I don't think it's the coffee shop exactly. I think it's the act of going to the place.
Getting out.
Yeah.
It kind of activates a switch in my mind, like, okay, now it's time to work, that I can't as easily access here in my office.
Yeah.
And I found that if I go to the same I avoid going to the same coffee shop to actually work my job.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, no, I don't want to ruin the
Yeah.
spot. That's my writing spot. That's not my work spot. So yeah, you have to put the boundaries up, and it's like, I think your body, when you get in that space, your body and your brain, it's like what you just said, Isaac. It tells you, this is what we're going to do now. This is writing time. So this is
the only issue. Well, it's not a problem. The only thing that it doesn't bug me either, but when people start to recognize you, like the employees there, they go, "Oh, hey, how are you?" Like, I don't want anyone talking to me. I don't want anyone looking at me. I just want to get my stuff done.
Yeah, it's true. But at the same time, back to that sales side of things, it's part of making those relationships, building the relationships.
It's a great conversation starter. Yeah.
It really is. The owner of this coffee shop that I write a lot, was chatting one day and found out I was writing a book, and he said, "Oh, I want to make sure I get a copy, so I'm going to give him a signed copy." And I said, "What do you do, author tables?" And he went, "Oh, I love those. When do you want to do it?" So I'm going to do a signing table at the coffee shop where I've been doing all my writing. But that came up in just the conversation, So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
with
it's
with music, okay. So I get it for getting into the mood of the scene you're writing or getting into that place. But have you ever had that go too far? Because I had this one time in particular stands out in my memory where I wanted to write an action scene. I just was not in the vibe, in the mood or the headspace for it. So I threw on the Batman Begins and Dark Knight, Christopher Nolan, Hans Zimmer, and it worked, but I forgot to turn it off. So the action scene ends, and then we have the aftermath and the emotional, and it's just coming out really heavy and still actually I'm reading it as I'm writing
so
it.
angsty.
Yeah, why is this so tense? Stop it! I want them like, and then I realize, oh, Chris, get out of my head, Christopher Nolan.
I need to throw on some jazz. Yeah, little saxophone in the background.
The website I like is called mynoise.net. where kind of like the people on the
noise.
Amazon recording sounds. This guy lives in England, and he just goes around with his really nice microphones. He just records noises, and he puts them in these not algorithms. They're like he has little noise machines, and it has like 11 channels you can like turn up this kind of rain, turn down this
Oh
kind
yeah.
of wind, and you get exactly what you want. And it's like it's all real noises,
Hmm.
and it
Yeah.
makes really good soundscapes. I really like it.
Frogs, no
Yeah, you can turn
frogs.
frogs. If you hate frogs,
Love
turn frogs off.
frogs.
I like to click.
Turn
It
'em
has
off.
a button called animate sliders, where all these sliders start moving independently, randomly, going up and down. So it changes
Oh.
as you're listening, but it's not in like a musical
Kind of
way.
out in the community,
Yeah.
in the frog community, hearing whatever happens at the moment. Yeah.
Oh man.
Sounds good.
Well, we're at about the hour mark. How are you? Do you have time for a bit of a game?
Ooh, sure I do.
I
Brace
have a
yourself
game
up.
for you.
We like to have a bit of a fun game
Okay.
planned every time, so
All right.
it'll be
I'm
good.
ready.
Okay.
So we're going to play Terror of the World Builders. This is a game we've played a few times before. Basically, we're going to have a character, a place, and an item of interest, and you're going to do a little bit of creative world building with them.
Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure. No pressure at all.
No pressure. No pressure.
So,
stop.
to start off, we have some sailor. And the twist about him, his father wanted him to be something. Not a sailor, though. So who is this guy, and what does dad want him to be?
Well, his dad was really hoping that he'd be a stock trader.
Why aren't you rich? You're just
Yeah.
wet.
You're wet. Yep. Hanging around on a boat, trying to do video in the backside of some swamp somewhere and
Oh.
collecting sounds when you should have been making me lots of money.
So maybe he came
Retirement's
from
coming. Come
he
on.
grew up in a trailer park with his dad. And the dad's like, you should
Maybe
be
so.
rich and not trailer trash like I am.
Maybe. Yep. Or maybe that's a cruise ship he's in. And maybe he's living his best life.
I was going to say this could be a tech bro in a boat. Probably
Oh,
you know.
Tech bro.
That's the worst possible
Headed for
combination.
his spot on the beach.
Do not give the tech bro a boat. He gains too much power. It's like giving Gandalf the ring. You don't do that.
Don't.
They're bad enough when they get cars, but don't you dare give them a boat.
So we have this
Exactly.
guy. He wasn't a stockbroker like his dad wanted to be. He's a guy. He works on a boat. He loves it. He's living his best life. Well, this sailor ends up at this place. Ends up at some graveyard. But the twist is, once a week, this graveyard becomes something else.
A carnival.
Oh,
Becomes
what
a
kind of carnival?
once a week. Just the standard kind of carnival that everybody would think of when you think of a carnival. The Ferris wheels and the roller coasters and
Clowns.
haunted house is the place you don't want to go in a graveyard. But yeah, the clowns. Yeah.
So
So
like a happy, cheery graveyard. Does this carnival happen at night, during the day? Like when is this going on?
Oh, it just goes on all the
time.
time, once a week for a full day, just day and night.
Wow.
Just don't be there when it switches back.
Are we assuming this is on an island? Because we have to get to it by boat. Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so
could
maybe
be.
he travels off in his little tugboat.
Back in the
he
bayou.
He sees the lights of the Ferris wheel in the distance. He's like, "What on earth is that?" He goes down there, and it's a graveyard carnival. Are the people at the carnival, are they alive? Are they dead? Are they?
That's a good question. I would say they used to be alive. Yeah, so maybe it's a zombie
Zombies.
carnival.
Zombies have to have fun too.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah, once a week it becomes a carnival populated by zombies.
Well, it is a fun zombie carnival.
This is great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So while he's at the zombie carnival, he meets some dog. And this dog, his twist is, in the past life, he was a something or other.
Stock
He was a
trader.
stock trader. Oh, that's so great.
Great.
So what is the problem they have to solve? So they're at this kind of haunted carnival graveyard. It doesn't sound like there's
With zombies.
just the zombies. They gotta get rid of the zombies.
Yeah. So yeah, the haunted carnival kind of turned graveyard thing once a week, kind of. Yeah. So he and the dog have to. What do they have to do?
Like Scooby Doo it.
Is this a zombie dog, or is this
Scooby-Doo
just
it.
a dog with that had a past life as a stock trader?
I think the guy in the boat has to keep the dog from, going wild with all the
Mhm.
bones. Maybe that's where that's
Okay.
the problem.
Yeah, some kind of like.
The dog sees it as a boneyard, right?
Does he have like a
This is like a
psychic
dog
connection with the
specific
dog, or
carnival.
can the dog talk
Can the dog talk? Maybe only once a week.
during the
The
carnival?
dog
Okay.
can talk
Okay.
during the carnival.
Okay,
The rest of the time, he just kind of hangs out in the graveyard.
that's so. The carnival once a week brings things back to life. So for the dog,
Yeah.
it brings his past life back to life, and he remembers his days as a stock trader. He can talk and stuff.
Yeah, maybe that sounds like a
Interesting.
plan.
So this could be like a weekly.
Maybe he has some kind of deformity that he's carrying over from his death on Wall Street.
Yeah,
or
he was
something.
hit by a car. So
hit by a car. So he has tracks along the back of it.
he's got a tire
It
track
follows
on him.
through and he becomes a dog. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, sweet. We have the start to a fun little story here about a haunted carnival with a stock
There you
trading
go.
dog.
Stock trader and a dog and a zombie carnival back in the swamp.
In the swamp.
Does
with
that
the
fit into your
sailor.
world? I'm just...
Yeah, maybe somewhere.
Awesome.
It is about chaos.
There you go. If that's not chaos magic,
so
I don't know
that's
what
chaos.
is.
Exactly.
That was fun.
Well, anything
man.
else you'd like to tell everybody while we have you?
They could jump on the Kickstarter if they'd like to. That would be great. Watch for it when it comes out to Amazon. That's my shameless plug for this little project.
That's exciting. Only a few days away. From September at least.
Only a few days away. We're all fighting the algorithms everywhere on social media that just, so be nice to other authors. That's the word of the day.
That's the word. Be kind. Rewind.
Be kind. Yeah,
it's not hard. Well, it shouldn't be. So,
it's just a button.
Be.
Just rewind the
Sometimes
tape. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, the link to your Kickstarter and your social media and as many as we could find, I think they'll all be they're all already there under YouTube. If we miss anything, we'll add them. Yeah. So be everyone watching, go check out. It's a fun looking Kickstarter. So you heard a lot here. And again, I already funded. That's very cool to see, especially this is your first book and you did a successful Kickstarter right off the bat. I'm geeking out about that. Genuinely, it's very cool. So congrats. Yeah.
Good. Thanks. Waiting for yours. Bring it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Again, I treated it as a far off goal, but things like this make me think, you know what? It would be fun.
Not that far off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Unless we're forgetting anything, thank you so much, Steve, for coming on. And everyone check out the link and like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. Give us a subscribe on here and on X and all that. And thanks everyone for coming on the chat. That was great. I think we initially had a weird connection problem, but I think clearly we had some people join from X too. So I think we connected all right. We were live on YouTube, Facebook, X, so wherever you're checking us out from, thank you so much for joining. Everyone have an awesome night. And we will see you, I believe. Okay, don't quote me on this one. I think next time is our last Thursday for a bit, as far as I know.
Possibly.
But, so we'll get back to you all. But anyways, well, follow us on here and on X to stay tuned for next time. Episode 26. We're getting up those numbers. It's very cool. All right. Cheers, everybody. Have an awesome night, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.